The enemy was attacking my electronics this morning. And I opened up my iPad. I had probably 97% last night, so I turned it off and I set it aside. This morning I got up, grabbed my phone, it was at 100%, turned it off, went to grab my iPad to prepare the scripture for this morning, and it was at 2%. I said, how in the world could my iPad be at 2%? I hadn't been using it, and it was at 97% when I turned it off last night. It went from 97 to 2%. It never, ever, ever does that. And it reminded me of something that I've kind of learned over the years, that when things particularly are out of order, the enemy's on the attack. The enemy's on the attack. When things that are always right turn wrong, the enemy's on the attack. The enemy's on the attack. And there's a background theme that's playing. One of the major things that I want you to keep on your mind. You got to keep this on your mind, otherwise your life won't have context. If you don't keep these things on your mind, your life will not have context, because it's going to seem like stuff that's going on in your life is just crazy. It has no order to it. It has no rhyme, no reason. But there's a context to everything that's going on in your life, and you have to set what's going on in your life. You have to set the activity of your life to the following. Number one, these are the last days. Say, these are the last days. If you don't remember that, then what's going on is not going to have, it's going to be out of context. It's going to seem out of the context. It's going to seem out of the ordinary. It's going to seem extraordinary. If you don't remember that these are the last days, and in the last days, some out of the ordinary things are going to happen. God said He's going to pour out His Spirit on all flesh. And He also said perilous times will come. Right? That's the context to the activity of your life. And you got to remember that. You got to put the activity of your life in context. Otherwise, you're going to respond out of context. Or, more aptly put, you're going to respond to the activity of your life out of character. Are you listening? The devil wants you to do something that's not really you. More importantly, he wants you to act in a manner that's consistent with the manner that's acting on you. The laws of physics, the laws of the land, natural law said for every action, there is an equal and opposing reaction. But the Spirit of God in you says we don't react to everything, we respond. And we don't even respond to everything, because sometimes in order for vengeance to be the Lord's, it can't be yours. You have to surrender vengeance. You have to surrender your action. You have to stand back, hold your peace, and let. Somebody say let. Let. Oh, good God Almighty. I'm about to destroy my keyboard. You have to let the Lord fight your battle. It isn't just going to happen. God isn't just going to fight for you. You have to let Him. Did you hear me? You have to allow God, who has all power. It isn't like He can't, because He can. You have to go into this thing knowing that God can. You have to go into this thing that maybe you can too, but you don't have to. You don't have to. It's not your battle. And God willingly, voluntarily, before you ever approach the God, says, I'll do it for you, but you have to let me do it. If you let God do it, you got to let Him do it His way. Am I talking to anybody? Am I preaching? I'm going to open up the scripture. I promise I will. But let me give you what God has given me. You have to allow God to do it His way. Don't tell God in prayer how to do it. Don't give God instruction in prayer. Lord, I need you to do thus and so. Within thus and so time period. Like you've given God an order for your dinner. This is what I want. This is how I like it cooked. This is how I want you to butterfly it and just lay it out. And I don't want too much salt. Let the Lord do it His way. Let the Lord do it his way. And I say let because you have a will. You don't have to let just because you're his child. Anybody here with children? Anybody got children? Stomp your foot. Anybody know children? Stomp your foot. Okay, all right. Let me tell you something about children. Children like to have things their way. Okay, that's the message. I'm gonna go sit down. I'm gonna just listen. A child will tell you how they want it, how they like it, and how you need to give it to them. Huh? You let December 25th roll around, you know, it ain't even their birthday, it's the Lord's. Y'all won't talk back to me. They will give you a list, long as your arm, about all of the stuff that they want. I want this, and I want that, and I want this one in pink, and I need this one in yellow, and I don't want the blue, because I don't like the blue. They're going to tell you, y'all don't like me. Get this. The Lord, the Father of us all, is not looking for your Christmas list. He's not looking for you to tell Daddy all about it. He knows your thoughts are far off, and he does want you to communicate. He does want you to talk to him, but you have to know how to talk to him. The way that you talk to the Almighty is by letting him be the Almighty. If he does it like you want it, you're going to limit him. If he does it like you want it, you're going to limit him. You know why? You know why? Ask me why. I'm glad you asked. You're going to limit him because you don't know the extent of his power. You don't know the extent of his ability. Saying that he can do all things is just an exercise in intellect. You can say he can do all things, but have you seen him do all things? You can say he can make the crooked straight, but have you seen him make the crooked straight? You can say he can bring water out of a desert, but have you seen him bring water out of a desert? Not only can he, but let's take it up a level. Can we go a little bit further? Can we go a little bit deeper? Not only can he, but can we crank this up a notch? Can we just go a little bit? Can y'all go with me? Huh? Not only can he, God has ability, but he will. He will. Not only can he, but he will. But the only way that he will is you letting him have his will. Not yours. Thy will be done. I got a will, I know how I like to see it. I know how I would like to see this thing play out. I know how I like the results to look. Because to me, let me tell you about results. I know what results look like. I know what being on top looks like. I know what winning looks like. I know where I want to be. I know what the pinnacle for me looks like. Really? That's pinnacle for you? Because I was thinking something different. I was thinking something greater. I was thinking something beyond. Listen, God is able. But his ability makes no difference unless you are willing to let his ability take the space in your life that he deserves. Anybody here know what winning looks like? Winning. I know what winning looks like when they take the gold and they put it around your neck. You know, the Olympics, you know, they got silver, they got bronze, but that's gold. I know what winning looks like. Winning looks like you pull in the driveway and you keep on pulling because the driveway is really, really long. Did I say driveway? I meant I know you must be winning because your laneway, your driveway is, you got some acreage. Huh? I know what winning is because, you know, your bank account is not thin, it's deep. You know, you get the statement that's got several pages. I won't talk back to you. get multiple accounts for multiple streams of income. That's winning. That's where I'm trying to get to. That's what success looks like. Success! You know, success has an appearance. Success has an outward show. Success has a dress. Do you know that you can dress successfully? Now won't talk back to me. I mean, there's all kinds of books, there's all kinds of things that will tell you what success looks like. Now, we know that there's an outward appearance. We know that you can't judge a book by its cover, but that's a pretty looking book. That show is a fine car. Man, the frontage on that house, the elevation is just ridiculously attractive. Let's appeal to it. Anybody in their right mind will go, ooh, that show is fine. But what does success really look like? What does success look like? I know what it looks like temporally. I had a little taste of it. I had a little flavor. I've seen it. But what does success look like eternally? What does success look like in the scope of eternity? What does success look like, you ready? To God. Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know what success looks like to God, because, you know, if everything else changes, heaven and earth is going to change. Everybody else's words, the dictionary is going to change. They change definitions of dictionary depending on the times of the season. You know, bad used to mean bad, but it don't mean bad no more. Words change, definitions change. God does not change. What does success look like to God? And if God told you, would you agree? Would you agree with God about what success looks like? Would you? I think I would. Problem with that is, what I know is scary. What I know is that my thoughts are not his thoughts. I know that much. I got some wisdom. Look, I have the ability to read the word. The word says that what I'm looking at and what he's looking at is two different things. So my idea of success, let me repent. Let me put it out there right now. My idea of success is different than what God's idea of success is. I know that. You know how I know that? I know that intimately because my idea of success is not always focused on God's idea of success. Can I tell the truth? Can I shame the devil? Can I confess my faults to you, my brothers and sisters? Will you still accept me after I tell you all the wrong that's going on in my head? I go to a clothing store, I say, man, that's a good looking suit of clothes. That would look good on me. According to who? Well, according to me, because I'm trying to please. Me. Is that good? Well, you know, I gotta please me sometime. I mean, I should be able to, you know, I work hard. I should be able to, you know, I should be able to dress, you know, for success. I mean, you know, to me, to me, when I look in the mirror, I want to like what I see, right? If I like what I see, does God like it? I'm not trying to get all deep. But there is a God who's real, and he's asking, he's begging me to be real. But not real according to my standards, but real according to his. Are you listening? So I want to know what success looks like to God. Anybody want to know? No. Let me read you some scripture. Let me tell you a little story. I'm trying to finish. We got started late. Can we leave early?
Okay.
Let's see. Isaiah chapter 53. Got it? Isaiah chapter 53. Got it? Yeah. You got it?
Yes.
You know, I'm going to ask you to read just a little bit because I don't want you to read too much. Because there's a point where I'm going to have to get really, really fast, and I'm going to go through it fast. But I need some help in the beginning. So, Isaiah 53:1.
Who has...
Oh! See right there? I already told you I need help. Who's going to be on the same page as God? Who's going to look at things like God looks at things? Who is going to start this journey with something on their mind when God is trying to put something on your mind? The only way to really, really understand God is to turn loose your understanding. What I say, the only way to understand God is to turn loose your understanding. The only way to even come before God is empty. Because I guarantee you, if you go to God empty, He's going to give you something that you don't have yet. He's going to give you something you don't have yet. And guess what? What you don't have yet is exactly what you need. You will have more of what you need if you come to God with less. Well, I got a foundation. I'm just trying to build on. Listen, the emptier you are, the fuller and more satisfied you will be. The emptier you are, the fuller you're going to be. And the fuller you are, the more satisfied you are going to be. In order to receive satisfaction from God, you have to voluntarily empty yourself out. Are you with me? Who?
Who has believed our report?
Half of the stuff that you know in God right now, wouldn't nobody else believe, because they weren't with you when it happened. That's part of the testimony. Part of the testimony is God did something from you, and nobody's going to understand what God did for you because you don't even know how to explain it to them. I can even tell you, listen, I can say, God, I thank you. I don't know how you did it. I don't know what you're doing. It's working. I thought it was falling apart. It's falling together. I thought it was the end, but it's the beginning. I thought it was over, but I can see light now at the end of the tunnel. All I can see was darkness. I was depressed. I was messed up. I prayed to you, and at the end of my prayer, or not very long thereafter, light came, but it was darkness. Who believes our report? Read.
And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed?
The arm of the Lord is the help of the Lord. It's the ability of the Lord. It's you being able to say by experience that God is able. Can you say God is able?
God is able.
Those are words. Can you say with experience that God is able? Because if you say with experience, you're going to say it with some attitude. You're going to say, listen, you don't know. I was such and such a place, but God. I was in such and such a state, but God. I know that God is able because it couldn't have been nothing else. It couldn't have been anybody else. It couldn't have been anything else but God. Somebody say God is able.
God is able.
See? You're already on to something. To whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? Can God help you?
Yes.
Yes. Amen.
Don't just say it. Tell somebody else. Don't just make it an affirmation, something that you know. Say it with your chest. Okay. Y'all don't like me. Listen. There's some things that you got to get out of you with such a passion that it stops people in their tracks. There's a thing that you can share with somebody else that they didn't believe it until you said it. And because you said it, they believe it. Are you listening? Who have believed our report? And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? It's been revealed to you. It's been revealed to you. You know, don't you? And if you know better. Don't you? Better than what? Better than some other folks? Better than you're looking at the situation, because your situation that you're looking at looks bleak, but you know better because you know that the arm of the Lord has been revealed to you. You know that in every situation you have a helper who promised never to leave you alone. I'm all alone. Who's lying? God or you? Okay. Please read.
For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant.
Now we're getting down to the meat of the matter. He, who we talking about? He. Do y'all know this story? This is the prophet Isaiah talking about the prophecy of the coming of the Lord. He's talking about, spoiler alert, Jesus. He's talking about a prophecy that, not kind of or sort of, he's talking about the Messiah. He's talking about Jesus. And he said that Jesus is on his way. Well, the prophecy still exists, but Jesus already came. He's coming again. But when Jesus came, here's the thing. He shall.
Grow up before him as a tender plant.
He's going to grow up before his father as a tender plant. A tender plant doesn't look like much. Tender plant is a little sapling. It's not sprouting any fruit. It looks like somebody you need to go and set it in some sun. Just tender. It's all bent over and good to me. Put some water on that thing and set it in the sun. Let it give it a few days because it ain't ready yet.
And as it root out of the dry ground,
it's going to look like it needs to mature and to grow, and like it ain't there yet. We're looking for a Messiah, but what we get is a man. It don't look like much. Read.
He hath no form, no comeliness.
No form, no comeliness. Read.
And when we shall see him,
there
is no beauty that we should desire him.
He don't look like much.
Wow.
He ain't even handsome. He's not like, ooh, yeah, he'd make a perfect Messiah. Ooh, don't he look like Messiah? He all tall and dark. No, not Jesus. When you shall see him, he's not only is he not going to look like much, he's going to be nondescript. Are you reading your Bible? Because I want you to understand what the truth says. I know that these graphical representations, you see these pictures in some of your Bibles and they got a picture of Jesus. That's not Jesus. That's an artist's rendition of what they believe in their head Jesus looked like. But let me tell you what Jesus looked like. Jesus looked like nothing. The Bible says when you looked at him, you didn't even desire him. And that's just to see him walk down the street. He didn't look like much. He didn't look like nothing. He didn't look like a man of authority and power. He didn't walk around with his hands on his hip like all of this is mine and my fault. Listen, people didn't even believe him when he spoke. Read.
He is despised and rejected of men.
Despised. Listen, Jesus? Despised. That's your knee-jerk response. You just see him on the street and say, ugh. And rejected. I don't want to see him. I ain't trying to go to his church. I'm not trying to follow after his teachings. Knee-jerk reaction is reject him. I don't even know him and I'm rejecting him. Why? Because he don't look like much. Read.
A man of sorrows.
A man of, how is Jesus a man of, somebody explain to me how the King of Kings and the Lord, because he was that before he got here. He was seated at the right hand of the Father before he got here. Explain to me how the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords is acquainted with sorrow. That's somebody that needs some Zantac. That's somebody that needs therapy. That ain't Jesus. That's not the light of the world. The Bible says he was acquainted with sorrow. Read.
And acquainted with grief.
Acquainted with grief. Look like to me, everywhere he goes, there's 24 karat. I'm talking about Jesus. I'm talking about, just stuff just laying down at his feet. Birds are just coming down. Birds suddenly appear every time that he's near. He's acquainted with sorrow and he's acquainted. You know what acquainted means? That means he knows it all too well. He's had enough happen to him that he knows grief. His Father is the creator of everything. And the Son of God is acquainted with grief. What is wrong with... Somebody lying. Isaiah must be lying. Is that Isaiah lying? Or we don't know the truth like we should. Why was he acquainted with grief? He's acquainted with grief because we're acquainted with grief.
Right.
He's acquainted with sorrow because he came from where he was. Understand me, please. He didn't stop being a king because he came to the earth. But he came to the earth to acquaint himself with us. So like Cameron was talking about earlier, when we met him, we don't see some high and lofty person. We meet somebody that's like us. We meet somebody that knows what pain feels like, that knows what anguish it feels like, that knows when the household ain't right and the world ain't right. And they get frustrated. They get so frustrated, get frustrated to tears. They came and got Jesus and said, Jesus, your cousin is dead. Jesus, no one. He's like, no big deal. Let me take my time. I'll be there. He takes the time. He finally gets to everybody's gathered, and they said, Lord, if you had been here. What do you mean had been? I'm here now. You think the times or the season or the days affect me? I'm Lord over the wind, and what manner of man is this? Just because you got a storm in your life don't mean it's over. He speaks to the winds, and the winds obey. He speaks to the rain, and the rain. Guess what? Peace be still. And it did. But you'd never know it unless it was raining. You never know it unless it was storming. You would never know that Jesus is Lord unless some stuff was going on in your life that brought you to your knees. Success is not the absence of problems. Success is having authority over the condition. Read.
And we hid ourselves, and we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not.
Listen. This is the Jesus that ain't popular. This is the Jesus story that nobody wants to tell you. People don't know how to explain it to you because they too busy telling you the head and not the tail, that you're the overcomer, that you should have 15 in the pocket and 15 in your bank. Y'all ain't heard that message yet? You won't hear it here. The real Jesus, if you saw him, you'd miss him because you'd miss him in the crowd. The real Jesus. The real Jesus, the Bible says that not only was he despised and rejected, but when you saw him, we hid, as it were, our faces from him. We didn't want to look at him. Why? Because he was that bad off. He was that bad off. Read.
Surely he hath borne our griefs.
Now, we get into the why. You all understand why, but before you get to the why, I need to build a context. I need to build a picture for you so you understand what you're looking at or trying not to read.
And carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted.
Something's wrong with him. He was smitten of God and afflicted. How did he get that bad? Read.
But he was wounded for our transgressions.
He was wounded. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Beat up, punched up, slashed up, smacked up for our transgression. He did that. He came down here unrecognizable. People didn't respect him. They didn't treat him like a king. They treat him like they do right now. And for some of us, we forget the fact that he did what he did for us. That's how valuable you are. We talk about self-esteem. Jesus isn't studying your self-esteem. If he looked at your self-esteem, he would do nothing for you. Because you barely do anything for you, because you don't believe in you. But he believed in you. He so loved you that he gave before you knew him. He gave before you recognized him. He gave before you understood what he did. He was bruised. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. How bruised was he? I'm glad you asked. Everything that we ever did, not just in the past, not just in the present, but also in the future, everything that anybody could have ever done wrong, he took a licking for it. Think about the worst whooping you ever got. Thank you. Take that and add that experience to everybody that's experienced in this room. Take that and add it to everybody who ever did wrong. Take that and add it to everybody who's doing wrong. Take that and add it to everybody that's going to do wrong forever. That's how bad he got beat up.
He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed.
Read.
All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all.
The Lord laid on him the iniquity of us all. Read.
He was oppressed and he was afflicted.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb. So he opened not his mouth.
You know what he said about it? He said, stop this nonsense, I'm innocent. No. He didn't say that. It's not me that you want, it's the sinner. No. He didn't say that. You know what? I don't deserve this, I'm out. No. He didn't say that either. He opened not his mouth. And while his mouth was closed, they beat him unrecognizably. They beat him until he no longer looked like, remember, he started out, nobody could recognize him because he was already uncomely. He already didn't look like much. But they beat him until he didn't even look like that. They beat him until you looked at him and you hide your face because it was so putrid, it was so ugly, it was so amazingly, fantastically, dastardly that you couldn't look at it. There are train wrecks you can't take your face away from. You looked at Jesus and you wanted to look away. Because nothing that bad, you don't want that picture in your head. 3.
He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living.
He was killed, read.
For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked.
He made his grave with the wicked.
And with the rich in his death. Because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him.
This is the nonsensical part of salvation.
He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed.
What I need you to understand is how ugly this is and how sad this is and how pitiful this is. This is real. This really happened. This isn't based on a true story. This is a true story. And he didn't just go through this, but he's going through all of this for us. So we don't have to experience what he's already experienced. He relates to us in our sorrow. He relates to us in our anguish. He relates to us in the day-to-day minutia of all of the problems in life. But he does it in a context that we don't participate in. He does it in the context of his Father having a plan. And he valued the plan of his Father so much that he agreed to all of this. The bruising, the wickedness, the punching, the ridicule. He agreed to all of that. He volunteered for all of that. He said to all of that, I know what's coming, but nevertheless, I don't like it. It don't look good to me, but thy will be done. And it happened to him, so it doesn't have to happen to you. It doesn't have to. But at some point, you have to say that nevertheless. So at some point, you have to say, listen, I know how I want things, but I want what you want. You got to come to God empty so you can have the fullness of his plan. Hold that 12. Get them to you guys remember, there's an old movie, and I'm closing with this. There's an old movie that we think of perseverance and pushing until becoming victorious. This movie stands on its own. Even the music of the movie stands on its own because it represents us having the ability to push past a problem. Dun, 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 Dun dun dun. It's the eye of the tiger.
Mine was
Yeah. That's the music that plays. You know what? Rocky.
Absolutely.
Right? What does this mean?
Victory.
It means that's the victory dance, right? Can I remind you something? Victory comes after a fight.
Yeah.
Victory comes after you're in the middle of one right now. The bell hasn't rung. You're just in the middle. And guess what? Guess what? Do you remember, anybody ever saw the movie Rocky? Yeah, I think everybody has. Rocky 1, it's a classic. It's a classic. It's a classic. But do you remember after they rung the bell? Do you remember he went to the ropes? Do you remember when he cried out of his mouth? Adrian! Right?
Yeah.
How did his face look?
He was jacked up. He was jacked up.
Surely he was bruised. He was beaten beyond. Listen, that brother clobbered him. He was bloody. His nose, his jaw, stuff was broken. He had broken bones. He could barely stand. He had barely any injury. Huh?
And she's like, Rocky, get up!
Help me preach.
Get up!
As ugly, as beaten, as bloody, as messed up as he was, guess what? Somebody loved him.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I don't care what you look like, I don't care what you smell like right now. Listen, he went through 10 rounds. Somebody just as he was embraced him because it was over. The victory had been won. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, beloved, listen to me. Sometimes victory is bloody. Sometimes victory is bloody because victory is tumultuous, because there's a battle involved.
Yeah.
Because you got hit. You got knocked down. You got back. And guess what? You might have got almost knocked out. They might have got to the count of 8. And you pulled it together and you said, I really should throw in the towel. Guess what? It's not, touch somebody, say it's not over.
It's not over.
You might even be feeling like, I can't. You're right. He can. He can. He can. I remind you that God is able. He was able before you got in the ring. And just because you got hit a few times, just because you got punched a few times, just because you got your air knocked out of you, just because you got your nose broken and your eye bloody and you can barely see, doesn't mean that you're out. It doesn't mean that it's over. It doesn't mean that it's done. And it doesn't mean that you won't win. Because sometimes success is a bloody mess. Ask Jesus. Ask the King of Kings. Ask the Lord of Lords. He didn't have to take a single punch. He didn't have to take any of that, but he went through it. Didn't say a word about it. He became our ultimate example in the midst of it. We get in a fight, we get punched a couple times. What's the old, Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the nose.
No, that's right.
You get punched in the nose one time, I'm done. I can't take it. I'm done. This is too much misery to me. You know, I'm not trying to live this life. This ain't me. This ain't what I signed up for. Listen, you signed up for a battle. And sometimes success looks like Jesus. Oh, not the Jesus that we see in the art books, you know, with the robe on and with the crown. Sometimes success looks like a crown of thorns. I wish you'd let me. I'm trying to get out of here. I'm trying to let Anthony go to work. Sometimes success looks like you've been pierced in the side. That looks like failure. It looks like the other side is winning. Sometimes success looks like they're digging a grave for you because you're dead. And everybody that believes in you is gone somewhere with the door locked. Because they're coming for you next. Sometimes success looks just like Jesus. Unrecognizable, beat up, punished, bruised. They buried Jesus, and that looks like it looked like the last nail in the coffin. The devil looked like he won. So somebody say it ain't over. You wait 3 days.
3 days. Okay.
You wait 3 days. I'm not able. But God is. I can't resurrect, but God can. And if God can, I have to allow Him. I can't allow God to resurrect if I'm out of the fight. If I throw the towel in. If I quit. If I'm done. Listen, this ain't me. I can't take no more of this. God can. You have to let Him fight. Well, I'm out of energy. Good. Stop fighting. Step back. Let Him have His way. Stop trying to make success out of the battle. And allow Him to give you success. Despite your bloody face. Despite your bones being broken. Despite the enemy dishing out all that he has. And he's coming out with hell and high water. After you. After your family. After your children. After your marriage. After your bank account. After your finances. He's coming out. And he ain't holding back. Pastor Mark, I'm losing. Pastor Mark, I just got knocked back. Pastor, some things happened this week. I'm too ashamed to testify because it ain't going down, it's down. I want you to be encouraged that success looks like Jesus. And Jesus was bloody beyond recognition. This ain't pretty, neither was Jesus. This is ugly, so was Jesus. But guess what? In the end, He won. In the end, Adrian came down and she hugged Rocky with his nasty, smelly, stinking, bloody, messed up, blind self. That's at the end. Let's embrace the Lord. He's got experience getting through stuff that we think we're going through something. He's already been through it. You think you got it bad. He had it worse. And some of the stuff we're going through as a result of some stuff that some of it we got coming. Some of it we deserve. Not all of it now. My brother said it best earlier. He said some of the stuff that we go through is because we don't communicate. We haven't done what we're supposed to. There are consequences. But you don't even have to experience that if you allow the Lord to have His way despite you having been pierced in the side. Despite there's blood coming out of your nose right now and you don't want to take another hit. Who's going to believe this report? Believe that you're going to win. Believe that it's going to be successful. Believe that you're going to come to the other side of it. And you might be smelly. You might be bloody. Success doesn't mean that you won't. Success almost guarantees that you will. But sometimes success looks like Jesus. It's a bloody mess, but He's victorious. It's a bloody mess, but He arose with all. Give that 12 first. Look at this. Look what happens when at the conclusion of the matter. The 12 verse out of the Isaiah.
Therefore will I divide him a portion.
God says, I'm gonna set apart a portion
With the great.
with the great, not with the bloody, not with the smelly.
And he should divide the spoil with the strong.
He's going to be victorious, even though he looks like he lost. Read.
Because he had poured out his soul unto death.
Look, he gave his all. He believed what he believed until the end, and the Father rewarded him despite how the circumstance looked, despite how his face looked. Read.
And he was numbered with the transgressions, and he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors.
That's all as well. Because he was obedient, he was rewarded for his obedience. And his victory, though ugly, is eternal. His victory, though ugly, is eternal. What he receives for holding on lasts forever. And the church said,
Amen.
we want you to be encouraged to stay in the fight. I want you to talk less about what you deserve and talk more about what he deserves. I want you to take your experience and put it in the context of what's going on eternally. So you don't say and or do the wrong thing. You don't say and or do the thing that pulls you out of the fight. But staying in the fight means you're going to get hit. You're going to take the blow. You might even take one for the team. But you're going to win. And success isn't going to look like what you think it's going to look like. A successful parenting, successful family, a successful marriage, a successful business, it's going to be ugly. It's not going to look victorious, but you will be victorious because God's in it. We didn't read the passage. I think we did, actually. It said, it pleased the Lord to bruise him. That doesn't make sense. God loves his son. How would God bruising his son be pleasure? That seems crazy. God's plan involved Jesus being acquainted with the stuff that we're going through, so that we can look at him and identify with the problems that we're going through. It's hard to follow somebody that ain't never been through nothing, never experienced nothing. Jesus experienced everything, even death. And not just death, but the death of the cross. That's one of the most painful, most sadistic, most excruciating deaths that anybody could ever experience. But he did that for us. Can we do something for him? He died for us. Can we live for him? Can we stay in life and not check out of the game? God has a plan. We don't understand it, but can we stay in the plan so that we can receive the success of the plan, even though success doesn't look like us? Success looks like him.